I'll call the Wisconsin Rapids Waterworks and Lighting Commission meeting to order. First order of business is approval or additions or corrections to the regular commission meeting held on December 11th, 2019.
Also move.
I'll second.
Okay, was that Rick?
Yes.
Rick made the motion, Scott second. All in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
And the next piece of business is special commission meeting held on December 16th, 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay, John made the motion,
I'll second that.
Rick seconded. All in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, action items, training request for the APPA National Conference.
Yeah, I'm just requesting to attend the National APPA Conference. It's in Long Beach, California this year. Those costs are probably on the high end. Now that we've been looking at airfare and things, just to kind of see that it'll be actually lower than that.
I move to approve the training
Okay,
request.
I'll second that.
okay, John made the motion, Rick second. Is there any other discussion or question? If not, all in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks.
I will approve Todd's training request, just so the commissioners know that's, the EPA is in California this year, and if you're interested in attending, an AWWA is in Orlando, correct? And is that the week after, right?
I think so.
AWWA, yeah,
think
it's
so.
the week after, so let us know if you're
Okay.
interested in attending.
All right, the department update, safety committee.
I would just, when you discuss the importance of hearing conservation, what do you mean by that? Just hearing the headphones that you have?
Various, we have your protection available to all employees, is trying to reiterate to them that use what's available and what machines need to have and what don't, and stuff. Big thing is to promote using that conservation to protect your hearing.
All right. I just wonder
Yeah, it's just a
what
general
are the
reminder
different
of-
things they have, yeah.
Everything used is required, so.
Sean?
One of the reasons we also talked about that too, through our previous 2019 hearing tests, we actually did have a hearing shift. A hearing shift is basically an OSHA recordable. So we just wanted to use that time during safety to kind of talk about that and make sure we're enforcing, hey, this is the reason why we have a hearing conservation program. We've done a noise survey. We talk about what types of hearing protection, earplugs, earmuffs that we should be using. So we really talked about a lot of that. That's kind of what stemmed that conversation was the hearing test. So there was a basis behind that. And as I say, we usually have hearing conservation training. That's an annual training that I have. We usually have that right around March, April area.
What about hearing testing at all? Is that mandatory or
Yep,
recommended?
every year we have hearing testing, and again, that's where this all came through. We had our hearing test last year in November.
Okay.
This year, we're gonna push that back to September. Having it in the cold, a lot of times if it's cold outside, people have colds, you get the flu, you get stuffed up, that really affects your hearing. So, and OSHA regulations state that we need to make sure that we have hearing tests every single year. We have to track all of our employees' hearing capabilities to ensure they're maintaining that entry level. There's a whole algorithm with age and your hearing goes down naturally over time, but we really want to look for those hearing shifts and try to do what we can to eliminate them.
Is it practical to try to put a reminder tag or label on the equipment that exceeds the decibel? I mean,
Absolutely, most do.
Most
Most
do.
do. It's usually right by, I mean, if you go on a chainsaw, right next to the pull cord, there's usually signs with PPE,
Oh, there is?
with
Okay.
hearing and safety glasses. And so, yeah, there's a lot of icons and logos on machines, especially when it comes to hearing.
good, thank you.
And that's something we discuss every year in training too.
Is there a decibel limit
and/or like a duration, you know what I mean? If it's a short duration, high decibel, or
Yep.
not so high, but a long duration.
The magic numbers on, in the regulations are 85 decibels over a time-weighted average of 8 hours. Well, nobody here is using anything chainsawing for 8 straight hours. But we are using chainsaws. I mean, the guys are doing tree trimming, you're trimming the tops of poles off when you're taking poles down. There's lots of noisy equipment that we have. So what I train and what I enforce is that if you're using anything over 85 decibels at all, hearing protection goes in.
that's
So
the way to do it.
that's the general rule that we go by to make sure that guys have that in there. And then I would say, Jason Warner and I, 2 years ago, did a noise survey for all the equipment that we have here, and did a decibel reading, took it outside, did some with a chainsaw, we'd rev it up, we'd get noise ratings and where those all are. So that's on a noise survey that's posted out by, just before you go out into the garage.
That's impressive, thanks.
Absolutely.
And is it, how do I say this, is it mandatory or is it advised?
I look at it as mandatory.
Okay.
I mean, it's your hearing. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I try to train it, I enforce it and everything, but I also talk, and we talk about it during training, that if Sean Reimer goes out there and uses a chainsaw and I teach him and train him and show him how to use it and he chooses not to, my hearing is gonna be just fine. It's his hearing that's gonna be affected. So it's really trying to make sure people are holding themselves accountable that, hey, I wanna be able to hear my kids and my grandkids and later on in life. So that's the main goal.
In the mill, we used to hear, it doesn't bother me after a while. Well, yeah, there's a reason why it doesn't bother you after a
Yeah,
while.
because you start not being able to hear.
Right.
Since there was a hearing shift and it's a recordable, is that gonna affect the modding or workers' comp?
I don't think so.
Something is small, I don't want to say it's small, but
One time?
anything like that is gonna have some kind of play on it, but with something small that comes on that way, that mod rate changes every 3 years with data, so maybe we have a hearing shift on there now, but then something from 3 years ago drops off.
I
So
see.
it all kind of averages out.
Sure, okay,
So,
thanks.
you're welcome.
Any other questions? If not, the line superintendent report?
So all those vehicle accidents, was that like the snowstorm or whatever?
Most of it, the roads
Okay.
were pretty slippery though for a lot of December too.
Okay.
I noticed you replaced quite a few poles. That the reports later on said 250.
Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yep.
Is that gonna be probably your average every year? Probably?
Oh, a lot of that was with the storm.
Oh.
160 was storm related.
And some of those didn't need replacements, right?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, correct. Well, they did when they.
Well, prior to the storm.
They weren't scheduled. to be
Correct.
prior.
No, some of them were and some of them weren't.
Yeah.
What did we say we're gonna replace, like 160 a year or something?
200 a year is what we'd like. to
200 a
do.
year?
Okay.
That keeps us on a 50-year cycle.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, the water department operations report?
The measure thing is all clear now? We're all straightened out on that? The 14.7, the water elevation, well, yeah.
Yeah, we're using the right monitoring wells.
Okay.
We're good.
Have there been any water breaks in the last week then, Dale?
This last week has been good.
Okay.
Weather changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it look like residents are taking care of snow removal around the fire hydrants?
There's
Are
some.
they doing pretty good?
I'm sure as the snow piles up, it's gonna get more of an issue, but so far it's been pretty good. You guys haven't had to go out and do many yet.
Good.
Any other questions? If not, the customer support supervisor's report?
Just a comment, the charts that you have in front of you are from Lynn. I
from the report, I asked her what the trend was in new orders, so that's the data that she put together. I was expecting, and the reason I was asking was, I was expecting 2019 to be high.
Oh.
You know what I mean? With all the developments and everything, so it was counterintuitive, but it is what it is.
It'll probably be high next year with all the new apartments going
Yeah.
in.
We got about 100 in the next month.
Yeah.
In the next month.
And some of them
Right.
were slated for this last year.
Yeah,
but
We
they
thought
were
they'd
behind
come
schedule.
online last, in
Yeah.
19, and they haven't. so-
Yeah.
So it would have been higher.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, the Director of Finance report.
No problems with the audit so far?
Everything's good so far. Field work, the preliminary stuff went fine, and they did the inventory counts with Josh and his crew on the 20th, and there was no issues there either, so things are going well.
And so on FEMA, where are we in that process in terms of, it's still an unknown, right, or not?
It's still an unknown at this point. They did push, up until Monday, we had 3 projects. If you remember, we had the debris
Yep,
going,
yep.
we had all the assets, then we had the conductors. They pushed the debris project up to the next level of review. And when it got there, they found out that it really doesn't make sense to split the 3 projects up, like we said originally. So it came back, so they were recombining everything back into one project, which should
Okay.
go for review, we're hoping by the end of this week, that we'll get to that next step and go from there. So we're still anticipating the FEMA funding to fall prior to the rate case being completed. So we'll know what that number is to know if we need to plug anything into that rate case or not, so things should look like they're still gonna fall in line like we're hoping.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I noticed on your cash flow statements, you know, we showed positive, net cash flow of 577.
Mhm.
But you also have on there, we transferred from investments 200,000.
We did. The reason we did that, the last 2 days of the year, we collected about that $500,000. So before we transferred that $200,000 on December 30th, we were negative cash flow at that time.
Oh, and then you got a big blast of cash.
Then we got a big blast
Really?
of cash after Christmas.
I
so-
saw that. Well, why would you do that? You still had positive cash flow.
Yeah, knowing if we knew where it was
I
gonna
mean,
be.
how many times have we had positive cash flow this year?
It's probably been only
It's
about
been
four
pretty tough.
months out of the year, so,
Yeah.
yeah. But for the year, we ended pretty decent considering, you know, everything with the storm costs and everything going out, that we're only $69,000 negative for the year. It's a pretty good spot to be.
Yeah, good. It is. It's, you know, as far as the profit and loss statement and, you know, like, let's say, cash flow or whatever, I mean, we had to make a lot of payments with the storm damage. And of course, that's all, isn't that when you get a return from FEMA, isn't that gonna make a
Yep.
big change in your profit and loss statement?
That'll make a big change in the profit and loss for all the costs that we expensed this year. Anything FEMA reimburse us for next year will credit that expense. So we could go through next year and in some of these expense categories end up with a credit for the year, so.
Okay.
That'd be a good problem to have, but we'll see kind of
I guess it
if
would
that
be.
flows, so. Yeah. But yeah, it'll definitely make a difference.
And I don't want to jinx it by just
I
bringing
agree.
it up. Any other questions, comments? The Information Systems Administrator report.
Looks like continued work in process.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get back to it. I'm kind of recovering, got a few new computers I gotta get set up this week, so, but Tyler and I'll get back to it here shortly. It's one of the main projects for Tyler and myself.
And what is the difference with the Honeywell Elster Connexo to the iView integration? I take it that changes something the way the NISC software operates?
Yeah, iView is an NISC software. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to have the meter reading software send more information automatically to the billing system. That's what we're trying to get going here. Because right now, a lot of the processes we do are manual. It takes extra time in the office, and we're trying to eliminate a lot of that.
I see, okay. And there's a problem just getting that to correspond to the...
It's just a lot of setup.
Yeah, okay.
It's very intricate, and it's gonna take a lot of setup time. That's kind of where it's going right now, is we're in the setup process before implementation.
I see, thanks. Any other questions? Okay, Conservation Manager report.
I just had a posted note on that first one. Can you explain the appliance recycling program? Because, I mean, as a city, we always have that issue of people putting appliances out on the street and stuff. How could maybe the city gets involved with this too, or I don't know. I was curious.
I believe in the past, I have given them coupons and information on this appliance program. I can do that and get that information to them. Essentially what it is a very popular program in the last several years. Going back about 3 years ago, they used to give a cash back of $40 per appliance. And these appliances need to be functioning freezers, refrigerators. You schedule an appointment with Focus on Energy, and they will come within 2 to 3 weeks, pick up that appliance and give you some cash back. The change in the program is that they're not gonna give that cash back anymore, which isn't gonna hurt that program at all. I mean, people are so happy to get rid of those appliances and have someone pick them up, especially I'm seeing in the, I guess in the senior community, they don't have the resources to do this. So I know I get a lot of phone calls from older residents that, don't have the vehicle or don't have anyone to do it. So it's a great program. That change in the cash back won't hurt the program at all.
Yeah, I like to see that put on the website for the city, because we always, like you just said, the seniors, they don't have access to get an appliance to dump or whatever. Then they have to pay for it to be recycled. This is free.
And what I'll do is I'll mark that down, I'll contact someone there and then get them the exact specific information on that. That's a good idea.
That's great.
Who actually picks it up? It's
Focus on Energy has a subcontractor.
Has a
that does it.
contractor that
Yes.
does it.
And they do it within 2 weeks. And, it can be done online and then it can be done by a phone call.
Mhm.
I have had customers that didn't want to deal with it and I took care of it for them.
Okay.
So.
And as a reason the $20 is going away, is there more and more efficient appliances out there than there used to be?
I think they're aware of the fact that the program is people aren't taking advantage of the program for the cash back. They're taking advantage of the program because it's a service.
Oh, okay.
You have to get rid of it.
Yeah, and they don't have to pay the landfill or, to go dispose of it, so they don't need that incentive attached to it. I think that's pretty much why they're eliminating it.
And then you had, I just had another post that explained the free energy product packs. I thought I was interested in that too.
Yeah, that's been going on for several years as well. I think it's been 3 years now. You can go on Focus on Energy's website and you can select their 6-packs options. Some of them are different LED bulbs, whether it could be outdoor ones, it could be interior ones. They have water saving devices too, like shower heads, water aerators. You can pick out those packs. It's a one-time deal. You can do it once for 12 months, and you can do it online and choose it, or you can call and they will send you the pack of an assortment. It could be 6 bulbs, 1 shower head, vice versa. We do have samples of them. We had them out in our front office for about 12 months to market these packs.
Do we have this on the Water and Light website?
We do have all of Focus on Energy's incentives there, so
Oh,
yes,
good.
yes, they can get into it to see it, yes.
And it's one per year per household or per address or?
Per customer number, so yes, per address in our church. If they're a customer of ours, they need to give that information, their account number. So yes.
That's great.
How's the mechanics? Did they resolve the problem with getting the 46% lower rate?
Yes, they switched last year. They exceeded 50 kW, which put them in a different rate class, which means that we have had to charge them a demand charge, which is approximately within $7 per kilowatt hour, or per kilowatt, excuse me. And because they were so on the threshold of just being over that 50 kW, I had discussions with them when they went on it, and if we could find the equipment that was using that extra kW to throw them over that 50 kW threshold, there'd be a huge savings, and that savings was 46%. It just happened to be the compressors. They were running 3 compressors, sometimes on in conjunction with the other, which was throwing that high load kW demand over a 15-minute period. And so with them eliminating that and just running 1 compressor at a time, they were able to go 12 consecutive months, and they stayed under that 50 kW, which then put them into the GS3 rate, which has no demand charge. So that alleviated that demand charge, which was essentially that 46% cost savings.
Interesting. But so they probably didn't need to run 3. It's just one of those things that starts happening
Yeah, I
within the
think so.
plant. And
Yeah. Which was a good thing even to have the conversation, because now that's led into a possible LED lighting project that they're gonna do there.
Good.
So they can probably take advantage of the Focus on Energy incentive and reduce it even further, so.
Good, thanks. Anything else? If not, Director of Engineering and Electric Operations reports.
I was just impressed with everything you've done. I always find that when I have on committees or the common council, just to share that publicly, could someone just go through and not read each one of these, but highlight each one of these so that the public, sometimes when you get your bill, your electrical bill and other things, you say, what's happening, why do we get these bills? But when you see the amount of accomplishments that you're working on, it's impressive, so, I don't know.
Okay, yeah. So you want me to just kind of highlight?
Just, yeah, each
Yeah.
one.
Sure,
I
so,
think it's
Put
important.
it in current waves or whatever, right? That's what you're talking about, right?
You can do that as
Current
well,
light.
probably. Newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
put you out in public if you want now.
Yeah, I mean, I can just highlight a few things here or on the camera if you'd like. So, you know, Baker Substation, we're in the process of basically doubling the size of that to make a lot better protection system and more reliability for, that's the entire east side of the city. So we started that project last year, and that'll go into the end of 2021. Coin Substation project, that involves the new Metelpa plant coming online. So we'll have an actual bay, what we call, in that substation to feed that plant, dedicated just for that. But it will give us some reliability benefits as well, so we'll be able to feed customers from there if we had to, if we had problems at other places when we're doing maintenance work. Gainer Substation, we did some fixes in the switchgear, and we had some moisture issues, so that was repaired in the spring. We decided to purchase a spare substation transformer, which we've never had before. That's a spare for 10 of the 14 existing substation transformers, so that if we have a catastrophic failure, we actually will have that piece of equipment on hand if we need it. The new aquatic center, everybody in the city is pretty much familiar with that, but we have to feed that. Wintrust Bank is building a new facility on the south side of town. We have to feed that. SCADA AMI cellular communications, both Tyler and Matt continue to work on that. But the beauty of that project is if we can get it working, now we no longer have to have fiber optic cables connecting a lot of this equipment or radio communication, which isn't as reliable as we'd like. So that'd be a very big benefit. River Grove apartment complex, that's the apartment complex going in by the new aquatic center, which is, you know, everybody driving around town sees. It's pretty high. Bridgewater development, that's the whole big project going in by Anchor Bay. Though it's in its, you know, infinite stages, we have to get the groundwork set for that. The city did a big airport project last year that we've had. East Grand, everybody knows, got redone. We put in new LED lights in Veterans Park and along East Grand. The YMCA needed feeding. 2nd Avenue, that was a DOT project where they widened the road, but it affected like the lighting along the side. In the filter plant, ultrasonic sensors were added on the filter beds, which made those more reliable. And we replaced half of the MCC up there. Again, another reliability issue that MCC will last 30 years. We talked already about the big pole replacement project that the line crew's undergoing, which is a great project to, you know, for longevity. In addition to the other LED lights, we did another 77 just normal street lights, and half of them in the city have been replaced over the last probably 8 years since we started that program. Traffic light controllers, our crew also maintains those, and you wouldn't believe how many of those get hit every year. I bet you we average one every 2 weeks. And so besides taking those down, putting them back up, rewiring them all, we also did some reliability projects where we put uninterruptible power supplies on them. So on some of the more key ones, so if you have a power outage, now it'll hold it up for an hour or two. So you wouldn't have a problem where the lights wouldn't be working. And typically we'll be able to fix a power outage within that time frame. GIS upgrades, so our engineering department is constantly upgrading our mapping equipment and adding information to it. Fire flow analysis, which is another key water department piece that Adam, our engineer, does. NERC documents is something that we always have to submit every year in the spring. It's a bunch of regulations that we have to follow. We put in a new real storage system in the Butler building, which was actually saved us probably half the space of the warehouse. So now we have more room for more things that we can put under the roof. And of course, the big storms in February and July, that was just a crazy year. Hopefully we don't have that again. But that kind of covers it.
Thanks. I
Yeah.
think people don't give you enough credit for all the things that
Yeah.
take place, so
Yeah.
it's nice to see it on TV as well.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions? I think Todd answered them.
Yeah.
General manager's report. No questions, comments?
Except for his last statement, I think is great. You know, he's complimenting the entire company or corporation or whatever.
You got a good team.
Yeah, takes everybody.
Yeah, it was very, with all the problems, probably a very successful year
Yeah,
due to our employees.
right.
Review of accounts payable.
I didn't see any mutual assistance. We're done with those now.
I think we're done with those.
Are there any questions about accounts payable?
No.
No. Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have motion seconded. All in agreement, please say aye.
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 Aye, good, thank you.